Well, with dog sledding, I don't know. Maybe I should start from like a little bit about my background, so then it explains.
Does it make sense after that?
Yeah, a little
Got
bit.
it.
So I'm from northern Arizona, which is
Dog sled capital of the world.
yeah, sure, right? So I'm from the eastern northern part of Arizona, which is called the White Mountains. But it's very cold during the winter, like negative 26 degrees sometimes it gets.
What?
Yeah.
Wow,
it's really
I didn't
cold.
know that.
So we competed with horses all the time. And I grew up without like running water or any electricity till I was 17.
In a house with 5 siblings?
So because my siblings are so spaced out, it was...
Oh, they were never at home at the same time.
Some of us all were until I was about 6. And then it just went down to 3 siblings. But we definitely... Anyway, so we always competed with horses. And we were like beauty queen and pageant, and rodeo queen too. But...
Have you won beauty pageants?
Yes, very many.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised. You're gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. We'll take lots of photos
No,
later.
yeah, no, I've...
How many have you won?
For beauty pageants or rodeo queen pageants?
Let's do beauty pageants first.
Okay, so beauty pageants, 12.
Did you put this on your resume for the
No.
hub?
No.
Okay, just curious.
I put nothing on my resume. Well, I think I put in my college. That was it. But,
Got it.
And my degree, but that was it.
The qualifications are high to work at the hub.
It is, agreed.
Yeah.
And and also it's a lot on personality, I feel like.
Okay, so
anyway.
how about rodeo pageants?
My first rodeo queen pageant I won, I was 6.
What?
And
Were you
then-
on that show, Toddlers and Tiaras?
No. So I started my first rodeo queen pageant. I was 6. And you
Okay,
have
we're
to
not getting out of here before midnight. That's all I
No,
have to say.
probably
Okay,
not.
Keep
So-
going. It's 7:00.
So you have to do like horsemanship, photography, improv speech, prop speech. Like you have to do all these things to be a rodeo queen, right? It's
So you're not just standing there because you're pretty.
No.
Got it.
You have to do like horsemanship. You have to do a reining pattern, all kinds of sorts. And so I won that one at 6. And then I was Little Miss Buckaroo for Navajo County. And then
Did you say Little Miss Buckaroo?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I went to Miss Buckaroo, which is the next stage up. And then I didn't compete for Navajo County Rodeo Queen again.
Wait, is there a Mr. Buckaroo?
No, they don't do.
Okay.
For
Do
rodeo
they do it now?
Negative.
Because it's 2023?
No.
Okay, just checking.
I don't know if I don't really know how much.
That's another podcast. Okay.
Yes, agreed. Okay, so and then I went on to being Miss they're like Kids USA pageants is where I started, and they had Mr. ones even like back in the early 2000s. Yeah. And
So were you representing a state?
so not at first. No, it was a county.
Okay.
And then I went to, and I did all that, and I reigned the same pageant, but as I got into older age groups, it was a different title, right? So it was the same pageant, but different title as I got older. Mm-hmm. And then I've won Miss Apache County, Little Miss Apache County, all different kinds of ones.
So do you have trophies, ribbons? Like, what do you win?
You get the title for the whole year, the sash. You
Okay.
get your crown, which is actually like a metal crown that sits on your cowboy hat.
Do you get to keep a replica?
No, you get to actually keep the thing.
Oh, you get to keep it. Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
So I have all my rodeo queen crowns, and I have all my
At your house?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I have all
Okay.
my trophies, and then I started competing in baton for like a lot of things, and then I placed first and second, and then won bronze at a nationals for baton. And then
Where are the nationals for baton held?
They were actually held in Arizona the year that I did it.
Oh, so you didn't get to travel anywhere?
No, I did. I've
Oh.
been to Utah, Colorado, like all over. Anyhow, so then I as I got older.
This is
and-
all before you were 10.
No, probably about till, well, Yes, about 11.
See, this is why you seem older than you are, because you've done a lot.
I have so,
Okay.
and then on top of all of this, I was like doing 4-H and all of this. So then I'd compete.
And so what were you doing in 4-H?
I did gardening, quilting, international foods, national foods, sewing, horses, goats, chickens, pigs.
Yeah, this needs to be a book.
And then so then like I do all that, but then if you get first place in everything at county fair, you go to state.
Okay.
So then I'd always win high point for horses
Okay.
in county, and then you go to state. So anyway, so by the time I was like 13,
You needed a new challenge. So you're like, I want a dog sled.
not necessarily. My mom has always loved it, and I'm very thankful that my parents raised me the way they did, because they showed me they put me in everything and showed me lots of opportunity and made me the person I am today. But my mom's always loved dog sleddings, and during the winters we could never compete with horses because it was too cold, it was too snowy, it's too wet, and so my mom one day, and we always raised wolf hybrids or like wolves too, and so we'd get them like 2 days out of the den, and we'd bottle feed them and raise them up, and we'd have them as pets.
Wolves?
Yeah, like actually, yeah, wolves.
Okay.
I lived out in the middle of nowhere, like on 80 acres or
Yeah.
sometimes more. I moved a lot, but we always had property. We always had 14 horses or more, like 42 dogs, and chickens, goats, all kinds of things. And like
Wow.
we could bring home any animal we wanted and keep it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And we showed goats in 4-H too. But,
Did you ever eat any of your animals? Because we raise rabbits.
Yeah.
No,
No, that kind of thing doesn't bother me because I come from a family of hunters. I've been an avid hunter my whole
okay.
life, so
Okay.
my husband still and I to this day, like, we forage and we hunt, and most of our stuff we preserve and do.
That's
during
awesome.
The summer. Yeah. So that I'm okay with. Raising and
Okay.
butchering is fine.
Yeah.
Right. So
Okay, so it was cold. So your mom was into dog sledding.
It was cold, and so my mom had already bought 2 trained dogs. And I should have brought the magazines. I actually got on the cover of a magazine for dog sledding, and because I was sponsored by Cell One, if you know.
What's that?
You remember Cell One? It used to be like Nokia Cell One. It was like kind of like a Radio Shack thing, but it was like a a cell phone business. Like, it was
really?
like a carrier.
Like
Verizon.
T-Mobile? Really?
Yeah, it was called Cell One. They sponsored me way back in the day.
Oh my
And,
gosh. Well, we can put links to all this stuff too.
Right? I don't
in the
even. I
episode.
think like Cell One is like way long gone. It was anyway. So they sponsored me, and then we ended up using the 2 dogs we bought, which was Jenner and Blue Dog.
Okay, my kids asked what kind of dogs you use for dog sledding.
Okay,
Or does it
so-
matter?
Honestly, it depends on where you're at.
Obviously, you're
So-
not using Pomeranians. But
That
like
would be amazing to watch.
just one
So,
Pomeranian leading the
just
pack.
like 6 Pomeranians and 1 lead dog. Like, you'd probably go like 0.2 miles an hour, but it'd be awesome.
Because you said you had 2 that were trained.
So we bought 2 that were previously trained.
Okay.
But they were wheelhouse dogs, which wheelhouse dogs are like the first 2 in front of the sled.
That was the other question, was how many dogs do you need?
You can do teams of 3, like where I dog sledded out. Like, obviously the Iditarod is 16 dogs plus 1.
Don't say obviously. No one knows that.
Oh, sorry. well, everyone knows Iditarod.
I've heard of that. Yes, yes.
But it's 16 dogs plus
okay.
1 extra lead dog.
Okay.
Because you need to alternate them out.
Like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah.
That's how we talked about it today with the
Okay,
kids.
yes.
How do you determine which dog is in the front?
Training wise, if they're like the lead of the pack.
Okay.
So when there's lots of dogs, like obviously there's going to be a dominant one.
Oh, so you just kind of scout that one out.
Yes,
Okay.
in a way.
Yeah.
So like the 2 dogs, or like in our case, we always had like 2 females that never got along. Like they could never be paired close together. but one was my dad's lead dog and one was my lead dog.
Oh, okay.
So because they're the dogs that listen.
And
right?
sorry, how many dogs did you have on your sled?
We would, so during this, it's kind of, when I raced, I would do 4 and then 1 in the front. So 5 total. And then there's also different versions of races. So there's like 5 dog and 3 dog, 2 in the back, 1 in the front. So, and then one's 5 miles, one's 7 miles. And then you just have to pick what race you're entering in a way, but you have like the amount of dogs you need to do. So me and my dad always raced together. And
like you would compete together?
So he was in a different category.
Oh, okay. You just go to the same race.
We go to the same event.
But you weren't necessarily competing against each other.
No.
Got it.
And so, well, then we started with those, and we had a lot of, like, I lived in a small town, a lot like Concrete. It's called St. John's, Arizona, and it's a lot like Concrete. And the, like, pound guy called us one day and was like, hey, I got this beautiful husky that I have to put down unless you guys come and get it, because his like master passed away and the kids gave him to me, and by Monday I have to put him down or otherwise come and get him. So we came and got him, and like that's really honestly how we got most of our dogs, was like through rescue, but they were young enough that we could retrain them. They were like maybe a year or 2 old, and we could train them to do what. And if you have like your wheelhouse dogs, which need to be trained, and then your lead dog, the other 3 sets of dogs or the other 2 sets of dogs will follow the lead dog because it's out in front. So you only really need to have a true lead dog.
So the ones that are behind are called the wheelhouse dogs?
Yes, in the very front of the sled.
Okay.
And so we just had, we bought the 2 that were trained, and then once we did our first year, and we totally sucked. It was so bad, but it was fun.
Yeah.
It was a learning curve for sure.
Yeah.
And then, well, we found out that our dogs were really good at first, but would lose stamina. So then we started breeding wolf hybrids.
Oh.
With our huskies, which my mom actually still has one. She has one left from... She was born in 2013, so she's 10 this year.
Aww.
She's the one left of our initial dog sleds. But she, we bred wolf hybrids because they kept the stamina and the speed. So then we would start competing. And
now this wasn't probably wasn't anything that you sort of invented. Like people have been doing that, or was it kind of new? I don't know
if a lot of people have been breeding wolves with huskies to make sled teeth, but we kept them all. Like,
are you sure it's legal? Like, do you have to like give Arizona, papers of
like yes? Okay. So like my parents did it. Like we would buy them from like reputable people that we had all the paperwork and stuff behind it. It wasn't like we were breeding them to sell them as wolves, right? So we always just use them for personal use, and we've always had them as pets.
So like at the dog sled races, they wouldn't say like you can only use this type of dog.
No,
it didn't matter.
So, and actually like a lot of the dogs that are used up in Alaska like are mixed in with greyhounds.
Oh really?
They can run. Oh yeah. Like if you like Alaskan Husky, you see like the beautiful, black and white markings or the red markings, but most of the like the sled run dogs are totally mixed in with another breed to make stamina, speed.
Just whatever you can do to make it better.
And most of them don't even have hair. Like they look like they're gonna freeze. Yeah. Like if you really look into it. But
would they put like clothes on them? Like how there's like dog jackets now.
They lay straw down in the snow. I don't know where I did it. I've never done it in Alaska. I just actually visited the Iditarod Museum, and I was like in hog heaven. I was so excited.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, yeah. But there was like a lot of things up there. But where in Arizona, during the winter we can dog sled. I mean, because it's. But we actually had people come up from Mexico.
Wow.
Right? We asked him. I'm like, where do you...
You're the Alaska of this area.
Right? But I looked at him, I'm like, where do you practice dog sledding? He was like, on the volcanoes. And I'm like, oh, okay. But he did. We would have people come up from Mexico and dog sled with our group.
Wow.
And it was fun. And I only did it for like 3 years. And then obviously my parents... I was the last one in the house, and then all of our dogs, like we were animal people, so we were just like, well, we're gonna keep all the dogs, and so they passed away. So
That's awesome.
my mom, so that was like over 10 years ago, 12, 13 years ago. So
Wow.
she's only got one left that was born out of the original sled dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So my students asked how fast the dogs can go.
Oh, okay. Well, it depends on your team. What a team size is.
What's like a fast?
Okay. So 3 dogs to 4 dogs. So like 3 dogs can run up to 35 to 45 miles an hour.
Ooh.
At initial start. And
Wow.
if you wreck, you hang on to that sled. Do not let go of it.
We didn't even talk about wrecking. So
It's a mass wipeout.
Are you going mostly, is it quite a curvy course you're usually taking?
Yes. So if you're going to the left, you got to lean to the right.
Oh, that's the
this
opposite
way.
of a motorcycle, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And so if you wipe out, if you let go of your sled, it'll run your dogs over.
The sled will?
Yes. Because it's like, it's weight, and they're pulling it, and it'll just go faster than them and just run them over.
What's the sled made of?
Wood.
Is it, just wood?
It's just, and it depends, or fiberglass.
Yeah.
Like newer ones.
The new
are
ones,
fiberglass. Yeah.
Back in your day, though, it was wood.
I think mine was half wood and half fiberglass.
Okay.
But it also had rawhide on it because the rawhide is wrapped around the sled.
Oh.
So it prevents the wood from getting rope burns and stuff, wearing.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it depends on how fast of a dog, how big of a team you have. So
Yeah.
we used to run 16 dogs, but they were also wolf hybrids. So I mean, they were almost 5'5" standing up on their hind legs like big dogs.
Whoa.
They weren't small.
So is it the more dogs, the faster?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And also they, we would use our quad to run them. And even with a full brake and the weight of a quad, they'd still drag it.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool scenario. I had a set of full purebred wolf pups, Alaskan Timber Wolf, and they were born on 2013's planet alignment.
What?
Yeah, they were born 2 weeks early on the planet's alignment. So I named them Apollo and all of the planet names of Greek mythology because that was pretty cool, right?
That's awesome.
And so and then I had Aurora and Max and Johnny Cash and Blue Dog and
Johnny
Janair.
Cash.
We named him that because he would never shut up. He was
He would never shut up.
Oh, he never did.
Johnny Cash.
All day long. Anyway. And
I have a couple Johnny Cashes in my classroom then.
that's awesome. I could never beat you. I give you props for that. So
okay, the kids also asked, what are the dimensions of the dog sled? I don't even know how are they wider than you? I'm picturing them small, skinny.
They're about like this table.
Okay.
And maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah.
If you consider the footboards.
Yeah.
But you're not always riding on the footboards. You have to pedal, which is running.
That was the other question. They said, how do you start? Do you start to run and push
So you
them?
do. You start to run. I don't know how to explain.
You got your cowboy boots on.
You start to run and then you jump on. But once it's uphill.
You do that again. I'm going to take your picture.
You have to run, right? You start off and you push.
Okay, so pretend you're starting a dog sled. Okay, go ahead.
So you're there and somebody's holding your dog because they're really excited and they want to take off.
Okay.
And if they do that, you're going to eat the dirt. Well, snow, more or less. Okay. And then they jump on, you pedal, right? And then you jump on and then you ride.
Yeah.
But the first part of it is downhill. And then through the middle of the course, it's uphill.
Okay.
But your dogs can't pull you. So you have to get and you have to jog with them.
Oh, okay.
It's not super, super easy work. And actually, I'm not trying to take this into a bad scenario wise, but my dad, the first time he actually dog sledded, the first event, he was pedaling and actually had a heart attack.
What?
Yes.
He had a heart attack?
Yeah. So my parents are older. My mom had me at 40, right? So Yeah, he had a heart attack.
Oh my gosh.
And he didn't even catch it, really, at first. He finished the race and everything.
Oh my
But it was
gosh.
the first time he initially had his first heart attack.
Wow.
And so, I mean, it's a workout. It's not easy.
Wow.
You will never be in better shape dog sledding because you got to hang on to that thing for dear life.
Oh man.
And trust your dogs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Winter asked if there was an age limit
So,
for the dogs, not you.
well, not
It's just
really.
however long they can do it.
However long they
Yeah.
can do it. Like, so Jenner, our dog, he was actually raised by a French Canadian. And he only knew French commands. So I had to learn all these French commands to make him listen to where to go.
And the other dogs are like, "What are you talking about?"
You're right. And the other dogs were looking at me like, what? And Jenner's like, okay, we go this way.
Was he the lead dog?
I used him to train the rest of my dogs. And then once they learned it.
Oh.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, it's on vibrate now.
Okay.
Anyhow,
So the French dog was in the front.
yes, he
Yeah.
was in the front. We originally trained Lulu and Lakota with him, which were our
Make sure you
two
hold it closer. Yeah.
our two lead dogs.
Okay.
Lakota and Lulu. And Lulu was a red Siberian Husky that we rescued. And Lakota was also like, this family got a Siberian Husky and was like, oh, this is going to be great. And then decided we can't handle Siberian Husky. So we got her. But they were super intelligent dogs. Wonderful, wonderful kids. Like dogs with kids, everything. Like they were just immaculate dogs.
Yeah.
So we ended up making them our lead dogs. And Lulu was mine. Lakota was my dad. And
So if you yelled out a command in French, like, did you have to teach the other dogs, obviously, what that meant?
So, which was great. Jenner would go, but then I'd follow it. Like, I'd give him French.
Yeah.
And then say it in English.
Oh, so you say it twice.
You know, but like G and Ha it was same for him, which is right and left.
Oh, okay.
So they learned that. And then once they got the understanding, then I would just take from there and go.
Yeah.
And then they would understand.
That's so cool.
It's weird to say.
I never thought about that. Like,
Yeah.
what language the dogs speak. And
Yeah. No, well, we bought him, and she goes, by the way, after we bought him, she's like, by the way, he was trained by, and actually, I have like 12 magazines that Jenner was in.
Really?
previous Before we bought him. Yeah. He was like, in Canada, he was a renowned, like, sled dog.
Wow.
Like, won medals. Like, we got pictures of him holding medals, and he was an amazing dog, and we had him till he was 18.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was an amazing dog.
Wow. One of my kids asked, or is it? They asked how you steer. So, like, obviously,
G and Ha.
a car, you have to, like, you get a steering wheel.
You
But
don't
how do you
steer.
steer a sled?
You trust your lead dog.
Oh, so he's so he knows
he'll
where to go.
turn, and the rest of the dogs will turn.
Is the course all laid out with, like, flags and stuff? Like, how do they know where to go?
I mean,
is there a track?
it's like
I guess
it's like a
kinda?
Snow Zamboni.
Okay.
I don't know what it's
They make a
called.
little path.
They do make a little path.
Got it.
Some ways.
Okay.
But we never had paths when we would practice during the summertime with our, like, we have special wheel carts. Well, we had special wheel carts that there's like one in the front and like two in the back, and it has a brake, and it's like a steer thing, right? And you just tell them like, hey, I want you to turn. So like, you know, you use your G and Ha.
Yeah. Okay.
And then it turns them, and then so like if you're turning left, you want to lean to the right, because if you lean this way, your sled's gonna go boom.
Oh, okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Also, one of my students asked, what happens if the dogs have to go pee? Or what happens if you have to go? And I said, well, that's a good question, because I don't know how long these races are.
Okay. So
like, my races I do are quite long. So I need to stop and use the restroom.
So
but
with
how long are
dogs,
yours?
when you're doing a 7-mile track, it's like 35-40 minutes
Oh, okay.
with dogs.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're, for the first, like, if you have in-shape dogs or properly trained dogs, I mean, they take first couple miles at like 50 miles an hour. Like, they're cruising. And then they'll go down to like a slower pace. I don't really know if it's that fast, but they go fast. I mean, it's only, and
But, like, do you...
If they
like,
have to pee, they'll just stop and pee.
They
I don't know.
just
My
stop?
dogs did.
Because I'm thinking, like, you know, you go on a road trip with your kids. You're like, who has to go potty before you leave?
Right.
So do you, like, make your dogs go before you start?
No, most of them are. So it's crazy. Like sled dogs, they have a purpose. That's their job. They love it. And they get excited that they get to go run. So like if they see their X-Bax harness, like, I don't know, all of my dogs did.
They see the gear and they get excited.
Oh, it's like you can't hear it. Anything. It's all like imagine a bunch of. So I had 42 dogs because me and my dad both had separate teams.
Oh my gosh.
And so like we had lots of dogs and
they'd see the equipment and go crazy.
Oh, they'd see the red bag that we kept. We kept it in this huge red duffel bag. And I mean, everybody had their X-Back harness and, you know, and like the second they saw that thing come out, it was just like haywire. And you wouldn't hear anything until you got back from the run.
So you wouldn't wear ear protection? That sounds silly. Okay. All right.
It's still very loud. Maybe you should for the most part, but we did not. No.
One of the IAs was in my class, and she asked, "What if a dog gets sick?" So we were talking about how like NASCAR racers, right? Maybe they blow a tire or something. There's a pit stop, and the pit crew fixes the tire. Mm-hmm. Is there a version of that? Or do you have a backup dog, like a spare tire?
If you're running like the Iditarod, yes, you have a backup dog.
Got it.
There's a dog bag like in your sled that if your dog gets sick, it's like a little bag that you put your dog. Well, it's not little, obviously it fits a husky.
Yeah.
And it like zip tie, and it doesn't like drawstrings around their neck, and they ride in the sled the whole rest of the way home.
What?
And you have to like pedal because your whole team can't carry you 100% of the way. So your sick dog will ride back on on the sled.
Has that ever happened?
Yes.
Really?
I've had to do that, yeah.
How did it get sick? Like, did it hurt its
I don't
foot,
know.
or?
Yeah, I think it
okay.
So most dogs, like we would run booties and stuff.
What does that mean?
Like, they're like little shoes for
dogs, got it. Okay.
Right? Like the little booties that go on them, but sometimes, or like they'll pull like something, or sometimes you get alligator dogs, which is called,
what is that?
It's when a dog decides.
You're like, obviously this is what it is. Like, no, explain it.
Like it is when a dog decides to eat another dog for lunch and just chomp the shit out of them, and sometimes they get hurt. Like dogs fight.
Oh, okay.
And when you have a huge pack like that, like a dog, 3 dogs or more is considered a pack. So then you
so usually there's some kind of like little war going on between maybe a couple of them for a top spot.
Like sometimes like one dog will pick a fight and then all of them will join. So it's a lot of that's just, it happens. And they're called, I don't know, we always called them alligator dogs because they would be perfectly fine one day and then the next day they'd be like, I hate you, and then like start fighting. So I don't
sounds like growing up with sisters.
Yeah, a lot like that.
Is that my shirt? I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah,
that's funny. Wow. So you did this when you were a teenager?
Yes.
I'm sorry, this is so crazy. Okay, so pageant queen, rodeo queen, dog sledder, and then after the dog sledding, is that when you guys moved up here?
No. So I didn't move up here to 2016.
Oh, okay. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I haven't lived here for that long.
Okay.
Well, I guess what, 7 years?
Yeah.
16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Almost 8 years. Anyway.
So after the dog sledding, is that when you got into MMA fighting?
No.
That's a natural progression.
No, that's right.
You're 13.
No. I did it until I was about 16.
Yeah.
And then where I lived was not it was like a town like Concrete, and it kind of died for a while. And my father is an IBEW wireman. And
what does that mean? Sorry.
He's a journeyman wireman, so he travels all over to do like powerhouses and high voltage shutdowns and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And when there was like, for a while, there was no work doing that, so he was like an underwater welder in Alaska and stuff.
Oh, cool.
And so he was always gone. So it was just like kind of my mom, and he just would work all the time and then come home like every like once a month or whatever. Still that way. My parents still live that way, but they're still married. They've been married 37 years.
And that's the key, is to not be around each other 24/7.
Probably is the case.
We would always joke because CJ would have, I think he would work like 4 days in a row, then he would get 3 days off. And by day 2.5, I was like, get out of my face. Like, we just lived in a small condo.
Yeah. No, I hear that.
Crazy.
My husband got laid off for like a week during Christmas. And I'm like, you got to go back to work, honey.
Well, I think a lot of us experienced that during COVID. We're like, get me out of that, because your kids are also trapped with
right,
you.
exactly.
When it snowed, was it over? Yeah, recently when it snowed, our road was a sheet of ice. And so we were home for, actually, I think it was around Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, God, this is like COVID. I couldn't wait for it to melt to get out. Yeah.
So then my mom moved down to the valley, which is Phoenix, from where I lived. We've always called it the valley. And then my dad was still working at the powerhouse there, and he couldn't like quit. He only had a few more months so then I just stayed with my dad and finished school when I was 16. And then we moved down to Phoenix, and then I still competed in horses until that. Well, then I got too old for 4-H and other things, and probably gonna edit this out because I don't want my parents to hear it, but my parents just kind of was like, well, we're done raising kids, so you're on your own. I was like 17, barely 17.
Well, they also probably thought you could do it. Like, if they didn't think you could do it, do you think they would have been like, see ya? It sounds like they were challenging you your whole life.
My mother has always done that, and my father also as well. Like, he taught me how to hunt. Like, I've been hunting with him since I was little, like my daughter's age, like my little tiny daughter. And so, like, and I've always done all those things, but I think because I was the baby of 5 children, when like the biggest age gap between me and the oldest is 14 years, I feel like they were just kind of done.
So you're saying you wish you would have had maybe a few more years under the belt if you could do it again?
Yeah. You know, yes, in a way,
yeah,
but no, because it wouldn't put me on the path of where I am today and know what I know today, right? So I don't hold any grudges against my mom and dad, because I'm so thankful that they put me through what I went through, because I wouldn't be the successful adult that I am today.
Well, and it's so hard. Well, you probably know now that you're a parent.
Yeah.
Your kids are still pretty young.
Yeah.
But how old is your son?
He's going to be 6 on the 22nd of March.
Okay. And he's older than your daughter, right?
No. My daughter just turned 7 on March 3rd.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Olive's almost 11. And I can see, I like get glimpses into when I was a kid and I was a teenager. And
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's why they did, so it kind of makes sense.
I have a very good relationship with both my parents. Like, I call my mom probably the minimum 5 times a day.
You do?
Yes, every day.
Oh, that's so cute. Talk to my mom.
And like sometimes I'll miss like 2 days. I won't call her and be like, I'm so sorry, mama. Like, everyone calls my mom mama. Anyway, but
okay, so you're on your own.
Yeah, I moved down to the valley, and then I kind of just like left home, because the reason why I left home is because I rescued this dog, and my mom said it's either you or the dog, and so I moved out. So I moved out, and I was living with my friend, and I got a job, and I started working. Well, anyway,
what was your job?
I worked at a Chinese bistro, and I was a server. I was actually a bartender at 19. And he was like, I'll just pay the fine. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, okay.
He said, I'll just pay the fine.
Yeah, he was crazy, man. Anyway, and so then I got another job, and then it ended up happening. Like, I am not the one to fight. My father is a retired, highly trained military individual. I don't want to like explicit on what he did, but he always taught me to fight and taught me like very,
how to defend yourself.
Yes, correctly.
Yeah, properly.
Like, so I was already originally a good fighter, and I was at my job, and they were like, the fights are canceled. And I'm like, why are the fights canceled? One girl didn't show up. I was like,
wait, there were fights at the bistro?
No, not at the bistro, a different place.
Okay.
I worked at another place.
And the fights were canceled, so you were
like... The
fights
were canceled. I was like, I'll do it if you need a fill-in. Right? And they were like, are you sure, Casie? I'm like, what's the worst that could happen? Like,
so
anyway,
only one of the girls canceled.
So only one of the girls canceled.
Got it.
So I was fighting this other girl, and it was just like a whim. It wasn't even, they were cage fights. They weren't even MMA fights.
Okay, see, I don't know the difference. What's the difference between a cage fight? Like,
so
let's
MMA
pretend it's
fights
like dog
are
sledding.
like,
I don't know anything about it.
So like cage fights, anybody can fight. It's in a cage.
I like how you
And
said that.
as long as you can fight, using the good. Like, I don't know how else to say it. So
Do you have a heartbeat? Get in the cage.
So I was like, I'll fill in this one time. Like, I don't want your fights canceled.
So you just threw your hair up and went in there.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. What were you wearing? Sorry, this is weird. Were you
I threw a pair of like Spanx on and a tank top. That's what I bought in.
Do you have a photo that we can post
No.
of your first fight? Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I'll have to look. Let me look. Okay.
Okay.
Anyhow, so
So you threw on your Spanx.
So I put on and I'm like ready. They put my headgear on, my boxing gloves and stuff. And
You had headgear and boxing gloves? See, I didn't know that. Okay.
Okay, my first fight I did.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm
Were your nails long? Did they have to trim your nails?
No, I've never kept
Okay.
like my nails are as is.
You're a beauty queen though, so I just assumed.
Oh no, I'm also a very country bumpkin. No, so like I do get my nails done, but they're always very short because I can't do the whole long nail thing. Anyway, I'm too active for that.
So they put all your stuff on, headgear.
And they were like, Casie, this girl's from Detroit. She's been in the slums.
Detroit. She loves ICP. Watch out.
Okay. Which is sad. I love ICP. And people are like, you like ICP? They don't think it. Anyway.
I have heard ICP more in the last 6 months than I ever have in my entire life since meeting Jeremy and Lisa.
Oh, I love ICP.
Here.
I've been listening to them forever. Anyway, so I've been a mad fan of them. And people are like, you're such like a white girl. Why do you even like that? I'm like, I don't know. They got a good beat to it. It's a good song. Anyway, so they told me this girl's from the sun. She's in Detroit. She's a thug. Like all this. I'm like a ranch girl, like in the middle of nowhere that grew up like hunting and.
So her body size, was it like the same as yours? Bigger?
No,
smaller?
she was shorter.
Okay.
Bigger than me.
Got it.
She was shorter. Like probably a good like 4 inches shorter than me.
Okay.
But I just thought like, oh, this is the chick. She's going to beat my ass. I can't have my ass beat. That is not me. I can't do it. I can't have my ass beat. And I went in there and like each round was 3 minutes, was supposed to be. And and I like KO'd her in 2 minutes.
What?
Because I
the
was
first
like,
round?
Yes, because I didn't know. They told me she was going to kick my ass. And I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it.
So like you just punched her.
Well,
like
yeah,
how did you KO
times.
her? Okay.
Yeah, no, I just hit her.
Just straight for the head.
Bam. Like, I don't know how else to say it. So, anyhow.
And you're like, damn, I'm good at this.
Well, not really. No, I like the whole time I'm like, I'm so sorry. They just told me to.
You're apologizing to her.
I did. Well, anyway, the fight went on and they were like, Casie, we said to fight her, not kill her. And I was like, you told me she was from Detroit. She was going to kill me. What'd you want? It was either her or me. Well, anyway, one of the guys that was there was a MMA trainer and fighter. And I did probably every 2 weeks was a professional fight, and every 1 week was an unprofessional fight, right? Like you spar and then you just train throughout the week, and then every 2 weeks was a T-Mobile sponsored fight, and you would just fight as you go. And so then he took me in under his wing to do MMA fighting, and then I just did that for 4 years.
You just did that for 4 years.
And then
while you worked at this other place.
Yes.
So you just did it on the side.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it was really good money just to do it on the side. It was like
Got it.
I don't know, the longest.
So what would you get for a fight? Like, would you get a certain amount of money?
The
per
longest fight I ever lasted in, and this is also.
Do you get more money
part.
for the longer the fight?
No.
Okay.
In a way, yes, but no. The one night, my MMA fights that I had, one of the girls backed out when she found out she was fighting me.
I would back out too.
What the heck? I was so pissed because I'm like, I'm not going to pay for my fight. What the heck? And I was also very young and dumb, but and didn't have kids. So I was like, whatever. Anyway, one of my really good friends, which we called her Bunny, she ran an entire female motorcycle gang. was like, Casie, I'll fight you so we get paid. And I was like, oh my God, you're going to kill me. And it was like crazy. I was fighting her, and like it was just like a 9-minute fight of nonstop, no breaks. And finally the ref was like, you guys can't go anymore. Like, nobody won. We're just going to do this a tie, because we were like, she was like, why'd you hit me so hard? I'm like, you were hitting me hard. And
I was going to say she was your friend. So you're probably like, before you were saying apologizing, you were apologizing to that first girl. You probably got out of that, but then you're fighting your friend.
Yeah, and I'm like, Bunny, I don't even remember her real name. I just always knew her as Bunny, and she was this awesome lady, and she ran an entire chick motorcycle gang. Wow. Like, she was a top-notch bitch.
So did he call it a tie then?
Yeah, he was just like, guys, you just keep fighting and nobody's tapping out. Like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm not a quitter. I'm not going to do that. She's like, I'm not a quitter either. And she was a wonderful person. I loved her. And she like came up. She's like, after the fight, she was like, are you okay? Did it hurt you too bad? Like, it was totally.
So do you just split the money? How does that work?
Yeah, we just split the money down the road. But like, normally it was like $800, $700 a fight.
What?
My longest fight was 9 minutes.
What?
Most of the time I just knocked out within 5.
Wow. So divide that by every minute. Like, that's a lot of money per minute.
Maybe I shouldn't put this on there for tax purposes, because it's all cash. I don't know, but it was a long time ago. But
wow,
it was a good time.
Wow. Well, Dustin was talking about his bounty hunting and how, you know, it depends on how big the bounty is for a certain guy, but then you have to factor in how much time it takes to find him, and you might be staying in a hotel, you might be driving, you might be paying off people to find out where this guy is. He said that one time, the fastest he ever found someone, he basically got the dossier of this chick, walked into Jack in the Box, just to that sounded so normal. It's because I've had half a non-alcoholic beer, so I can't really talk.
That's okay.
He walked in to eat before he started to find her, and she was sitting right there. Like, oh my God, that's amazing. You didn't have to spend any money. But I don't think it's normally that quick. But that kind of money that you're talking about, like, holy cow.
It was nice. It was nice. Crazy. And I did a lot of frivolous things. And
what would you spend your money on? You just gave me a look right there.
I spent it on a lot of nice things, a lot of nice experiences.
Have you traveled like around the world?
Yeah, I lived in Mexico for 3 years.
You lived in Mexico?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And I haven't traveled like other than that. I've never been in Canada.
Never?
No, but I lived in Mexico for 3 years, all around there.
What area of Mexico?
All over.
Oh, okay.
Oh, like,
what were you doing there?
You're gonna be surprised when I say this.
Wait, let me guess. No, cockfighting.
No, I was actually a missionary.
You're a missionary?
Yep.
Oh my gosh,
I'm actually very found in my faith.
Okay, so this must have been right before you had kids.
So I actually lived in Mexico as a teenager.
Wait, so before you got kicked out?
Well, my parents let me go.
Sorry, I
when I was
say
a teenager.
Kicked out. That sounds
it's all right.
weird. So
my
before
parents
they set
let me
you
go
free,
as a kid.
Yeah.
And then I went back another year as a teenager, and then another year technically as a teenager, because I wasn't 20, right?
Yeah.
So and then so I did 3 years before I did cage fighting as a missionary, and
so
I just
3 years in Mexico as a missionary, and then cage fighting.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
I'm from a very religious family that's Southern Baptist.
Really?
Yes.
So then after the cage fighting, then did you do your other career that we're not going to talk about?
Hang out, and she'd be like, you hungry, honey? I'd be like, yeah, I need some nachos or some burritos.
Well, I feel like this is a perfect time to do an ad for the Concrete Theater. They are playing Magic Mike 3.
Oh, look at that.
April 8th. Lisa and I had talked about doing a show or doing an event.
Isn't that on a Wednesday?
No, that's spring break. It's near the end of our spring break, so it's on the weekend. But we were talking about doing an event at the Hub, possibly after the show.
I think
that was Magic Mike themed.
Oh, that's an amazing
So
idea.
Maybe we could talk to Dustin about
I wonder what we could do. Like if we could I don't know. I feel like we
I
have
don't know. Well, off air, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
I think that
we'll conspire some more.
But yeah, I've never actually seen the first two.
Me
Have
neither.
you? Yeah. So
I know what they're about.
Yeah. We could watch them up here. We could do a
You
pregame.
want to know a really funny story about Magic Mike?
Please do.
My father's name is Michael. But my
Nice.
dad can literally fix anything. And so, like, my dad never knew what Magic Mike was. And so then, but all of his buddies that were younger than him that he worked with, like, when the first Magic Mike came out, and they were like, "You're Magic Mike." And then he's like, "Yeah, I'm Magic Mike." And then he would start saying,
He didn't know why.
he didn't know what it was until I was like, "Daddy, that's not something you want to be proud about." He was like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Here's the trailer." He was like, "Oh my God, that's not okay."
That's awesome.
So-
Do your parents still live in Arizona?
Yes, they
Yeah.
live in Winslow.
Nice.
Well, my mom lives in Winslow, and my father comes home like once a month.
Right.
But my father lives in Peoria. They're
Do
still
they-
married. He just works down there.
Yeah. Have they been up here?
So so when I moved up here in 2016, they actually.
Oh yeah.
got a-
Sorry. Wait. We got to back up because you talked about how you were a missionary
Yeah.
and then the cage fighting, and then
So-
what happened after that?
So before my cage fighting days, I had met my husband.
What's his name?
Tyler.
Tyler. Right.
Yeah, and so I met him, and he was my first boyfriend I ever brought home.
What?
Yeah.
Aw.
And he was my first guy I ever really truly dated. I dated him like 4 months. But I knew after he was done going to college down there, he was going to move back up here. And so I
because he's from here.
he's
Okay.
from Cedar-Woolley.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm going to be really hell-bent if you leave me and I'm not old enough to go. So I was like, why don't we just break up and stay friends? And we did. We continued to stay friends. We were friends for 7 years until one day I just reached out to him and I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I told him, I was like, he always tells me I'm his great white buffalo.
Great White Buffalo.
Like off of the hot tub time machine when he's like, "She was your great white buffalo."
I've only seen that a couple times. We'll have to watch it
yeah,
again.
when he's like, "She's the one that got away. She's your
Aw.
great white buffalo." So he was my great white buffalo. And
Wait, he was yours or you were his?
both.
You're both a couple of Great
Mutual.
White.
Yes. Like, it's weird. Like, he's the male version of me and I'm just a female version of him, if that makes sense.
But does he have the upbringing that you had?
Negative.
Okay.
So,
So he's born and raised in Cedar-Woolley?
Yes, born and
Yeah.
raised in Cedar-Woolley. I'm from a very religious family, like very, very religious family, and very off-grid. Like, people think my parents are hippies, but they're not. I mean, no, they're not really hippies, no.
Yeah.
But my mom always, the smallest garden we ever had was like an acre.
Wow.
And like we would preserve and do things, right? And that was just our way of life. We'd raise and butcher and we hunted, right? And like out of a family of 7, if everyone hunts, that's 7 elk a year. That's a lot of meat.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, and in Arizona, it's not like hunting here. It's different, right? So, you'd put in and you get drawn, or you could buy a depredation tag, which is to a certain unit. You get no matter what, antlerless or antlers. Anyway, so we'd always get elk or deer or
but there's
whatever.
hunting around here. Like, has he hunted? Like,
my
did he-
husband is a very avid hunter. Yeah.
Okay, so he grew up
He
hunting.
did grew up. His dad. I am so thankful that his dad raised him to hunt and taught him how to hunt. And
Yeah.
he brings home deer every year.
That's awesome.
And sometimes both of us, but sometimes I don't get to because I have the kids. You know.
Yeah. And do your kids hunt, or will they?
Yeah, oh, for sure.
They
Yeah.
will, yeah.
No, my daughter's already like, "There's deer. I see 'em, Mom." Like, she's already very into it.
Olive
and-
keeps looking like she notices ducks more
Oh,
now because CJ duck hunts.
Oh, that's
He just
awesome.
started a couple years ago.
Oh, does he enjoy it?
Yeah. Well, did you ever meet John? John bartended at the Hub a couple times in the summer. Tattooed. He runs a lot.
Negative. No.
I met
don't
him at
think
a
so.
couple. I met him at a couple races, and then we became friends. And I thought, I think
What kind of races do you run?
like ultras, so anything over 30 miles. Yeah.
I'd
So
probably die.
when I first met John, I thought, I think CJ would like him, and so I invited them over for a barbecue, and like instantly, him and CJ were just like buddies. And
That's awesome.
he taught him so much about hunting. And he's like, "Yeah, I want to come out." And so yeah, they hunt all the time during duck season. It's really cool. And it's really cool because they have their hunting thing, and then John and I have like our running thing, and Brittany, John's wife, is like super into crewing and running, and so
that's cool.
It's really fun to, like, when we get together, it's like we're just all talking nonstop about our little things. And sorry, what was your question?
Do you like duck?
Yeah, I mean, I don't care what meat it is as long as it's free. That's why we eat rabbit. We eat rabbit, our rabbit, our sheep. We just have chickens for eggs.
Yeah.
But we had a cow, and we used to do pigs.
Yeah.
Pigs are really hard.
Pigs are hard. They're messy.
Yeah. Well, and one night, it was like a Tuesday. CJ got home from softball. It's 10 o'clock at night. He kind of in the summer, and he had a shower. He sits down. He's like, long day. You know, he worked. He had 2 games of softball. And then he kind of sits up. He opens the blinds. He's like, shit. Go grab Zach. I like run. He's like, the pigs are out. So he runs outside. No. I go around and get Zach, one of our roommates, runs downstairs. All 3 of us are outside in the backyard, 10 o'clock at night. I have a flashlight. So they had bust out of the pen because they were hungry. We weren't keeping up with their food because we had 5 at the time, and it was just so much. Anyway, so at one point, I had the fence closed, and I had the flashlight going, one's over there, one's over, you know, and Zach's running in one direction trying to get them. CJ's trying to get food to like lure them back in, and these guys were huge already. Thankfully, Del Fox had an opening because usually like you have to book out quite a few months in advance, and luckily they had an opening, and then we got to slaughter them all, and CJ's like, that's it, like we're not doing pigs anymore. But he ended up hot wiring the fence. I think we did pigs one more time, but then right before COVID hit, we realized, okay, CJ was going to be on 3 softball teams because he is addicted to playing, which is fine. Then I was coaching varsity tennis at Burlington.
Oh, do you play tennis? I love tennis.
I was supposed to go on this Germany-Burlington exchange trip. So this was all happening. And we decided, okay, we can see the writing on the wall. This is going to be a really busy spring. Let's not do pigs. So we decided not to. Well, March 17th, 2020 was my first varsity tennis match. We had practiced for 2 weeks. I picked my girls. I was so excited. The world shut down.
Yeah.
The Germany trip got canceled. All of C5.
Right. I do have a CDL, but it's not for truck driving.
Wait, what's it for?
School bus driver. I used to be a school bus driver.
You were a school bus driver?
Yeah. From 21 till I was 25.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I still carry it. Like,
nothing you're saying is surprising me anymore.
Right.
Like, of course you were.
Yeah, no. I've hiked Grand Canyon rim to rim 7 times.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Less than 18 hours, you get a free t-shirt if you do that. Like, I've done it. And that's what I'm so thankful for my parents, because they let me, they put me into all these opportunities. I've lived a lifetime.
Yeah.
In just my short 28
And you're
years.
only 28.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. See, this is the other part of why I love doing this podcast too, is I feel like some people listening might hear this and go, man, I could be doing more, you know?
Yes. And also they do like a Girl Scouts of Canada and a Girl Scouts of America, and they do like a flag raising thing, and all the Canadian Girl Scouts and all the American Girl Scouts get to like
at the Peace Arch, like the border crossing.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's where it's at.
Cute.
So that's what we're doing. But I'm gonna go there and get some snacks because my sister went to Canada and brought me back this whole bunch of snacks.
What did she bring you? I need to know the names.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so my favoriteest things was the Canadian Skittles. They're like M&Ms, but they're not M&Ms.
Oh, Smarties.
Smarties.
Yeah.
That's what
I'm going up on Wednesday. I'll get you some Smarties.
Oh my gosh. I'll give you like $200. Buy all you can buy. We get in trouble for smuggling $200 worth of Smarties back.
I do have a couple red flags on my passport, but
ooh.
Yeah. Anyway, we can't talk about that on the podcast. Okay, so I'll get you Smarties.
And I was like, what? And then there's this homeless man that tries to like come up to us, and he has full bushes tied to his waist belt, root ball and all, like a full bush.
What?
Roots, dirt, like everything, all tied all the way around his waist belt. And I looked at him, I'm like, that's why there's no plants in Seattle. That right there.
He
like,
had a root bush?
Like, it was a whole bush pulled out of the ground with the root and like the ball dirt ball of roots right here, and then the bush was like a tutu all the way around. What? I don't know. It was so
When you
weird.
said bush, I was thinking something else.
Oh
so-
no, like
'cause
it
I'm
was like
this naked homeless guy. Okay.
he was naked. I did not look.
was naked.
He had no pants on. He had a
Wow.
tutu of actual vegetation, like root ball,
Well, they care about the environment down there.
like a shrub.
So
Well, pulling the plants out and wearing them as a tutu is not good for the environment. Anyway, and
oh my god.
it was funny. I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't have said that.
No, I'm definitely going to cut this out, but I think we should definitely end on that note.
Yeah, for sure.
And just to recap, so you work Fridays and Saturdays at the hub,
Mm-hmm.
6 till close.
Yes.
Bring your ID.
Yes.
Casie will ID you. She really just wants to know where you live.
That's for sure.
That's what I used to tell people. I said, I just want to know how much you weigh, okay? And they would look at me really weird. I'm like, I'm just kidding.
I just want to see how many birthdays will line up with everybody else's birthdays.
Just write down your birthday and your address. And I really liked working at the hub in the summer. I just didn't like the late nights. That sucked. Because, like you said, when you get home, you couldn't sleep.
Yeah. So, because we close at midnight.
Yeah.
It's like occasionally.
Well, back in the day when I worked, we were open till 2.
Okay.
And nothing good ever happens after midnight.
So most of the time we close at midnight. Sometimes if it's a great crowd, we'll stay open later.
Yeah.
Right? We can stay open till 2.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, I have managed my crowd pretty well, that they know, like, don't cause no shit with Casie.
I love it.
Like, there was a kid that was giving me shit and I squirted him in the face with a ketchup bottle and he didn't think I was going to do it, but he gave me permission to do it. I think he was just calling my bluff and I was straight like, we can't.
Nice.
But now he's
And now
like,
he listens to you.
He listens to me.
Nice.
I'm like, hey dude, don't do that. He's like, okay, I'm sorry.
I did have to use my teacher voice a couple times.
Ooh, did that work well?
It did. Yeah.
Like everyone's like,
My other thing I do is I just don't talk to you. And if I'm not smiling, that's not good. If Liz is not smiling, that's not good. So watch out. Yeah. So I would just stop talking, or I would use my teacher voice. That's how I got through the summer. But it was fun. All I know is I
are you
can't.
gonna come back to work for the summer?
I can't do it again. I can't bartend. But I'm probably gonna work at the liquor store a little bit more if they need me.
Why can't you bartend?
I just can't stay up late. I can't.
Oh.
Yeah.
What if you do like day shift?
The tips aren't very good, and
Fair enough.
if I am gonna stay up, if I am gonna work that job, I just need to get paid more. But also, I do like working at the liquor store because Olive comes along and she hangs out and she helps me, whereas she can't do that at the hub.
Oh, I sold a pickle book
You did?
last Saturday.
Oh, nice.
I did.
Awesome.
So I think the money's in the envelope if you haven't got it.
I love that your daughter loves the pickle.
Oh yeah,
That is so awesome.
She's like, I stuck that shit up my water bottle. Obviously she didn't, but
That's
she was
awesome.
totally stoked about
I
it.
love
She
it.
tells everyone at school, this is the pickle story. If you haven't read it, go to the liquor store at the books are for sale.
Go to the liquor store. Does she have, I forget, does she have the coloring book? Did I give that to you? Okay, I'll give you the coloring book.
Okay.
It's so cute. It's basically just all the illustrations of the pickle, but without color.
Yeah.
And also there's a bunch of illustrations from the second pickle book too. Is that Jeremy?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Jeremy?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, it's Jeremy. Okay.
All right, we're going to stop talking about him.
All right.
Okay, don't go to the hub. Bye.